So the outstanding young sprinter Briana Williams will appear before the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission on September 23rd, 24th, and the 25th to present her defense in the doping case brought against her. This was confirmed earlier on Tuesday by Chairman of the Independent Anti-Doping Disciplinary Panel, Kent Gammon, at a preliminary hearing into the matter. The 17-year-old Williams tested positive for the banned diuretic hydrochlorothiazide after competing at the National Championships in June this year. Joining us to discuss the issue is track and field analyst and senior writer at SportsMax.tv, Leighton Levy. Welcome again, Leighton.
Yeah, what's up, guys?
All right, so Kent Gammon has spoken September 23, 24, and 25, the important dates. I guess the right place to start, though, with the Jamaica squad set to be announced on Wednesday, what is likely to happen?
Look, in real terms, Briana Williams is going to miss that boat. When you look at how close the hearing dates are to the start of the World Championships, the 25th is the final day, provisionally, because with the hearing, there's a possibility that other witnesses could be called that would need for them to extend the hearing dates to other days, maybe in October. But let's say they finish on the 25th. Then the panel has to retire and then convene to discuss and then come up with a sanction, or if there are any sanctions. That could take anywhere from a week to a month.
And stick up in, the panel is not obliged to work faster to meet anybody's deadline.
No, it doesn't. It's an independent panel, and they take as much time as they need to make the decision that won't bring them under the scrutiny of the World Anti-Doping Agency. So they're going to have to, carefully review all of the information that comes before them before they make a decision. And remember, it's 3 people, so they each have to submit their reports, and then Ken Gammon will come up with a final verdict.
Courts of law and quasi-judicial committees, as this panel will be, because it's not a court of law after all, but they all work on precedent. So I say that to ask, based on what has happened in the past, how long does a case like this normally take for the evidence to be heard, for the panelists to retire, and then for a verdict to be returned with sanctions?
It's the average 2 months. I've done a number of them, over the years, and the initial hearings themselves, sometimes they go beyond the 3 days. Sometimes it goes well beyond the 3 days. I remember, I think it was the Asafa Paul and Sharon Simpson took a couple of weeks to get finally settled, and then the panel took about a month to come back with a final decision. So 2 months, 2 to 3 months, I think would be somewhere within the average of how long it will last. It all depends on how much information is available at the hearing based on, what I'm told is that Briana Williams has her ducks in a row already. So it's just a matter now for Ian Wilkinson and the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission to come with their information, their evidence, their case against her. And then, this shouldn't take longer than a month, though, in real terms.
The advent of these hearings now becoming private, which had not been so before, how does that color this hearing, or or does it in any way?
Look, prior to last year, when Mr. Williams, the chairman of the board, and Anthony Williams, announced that they were going to go private, Jamaica was the only country in the world, I think, that actually had public hearings in these cases. So I don't think it will change the landscape in any way. I think what it will do, it will deprive the local media of fodder to feed on during, because there's a dramatic element of it is going in and reporting it and then creating headlines out of it, which usually brings the public discussion, to centralize on or to focus on it. But I think we've seen, there are a couple of cases that went unheard last year, and had I not gone on the JADCO website, I wouldn't have known about them. So I don't think it'll have any impact at all. I think the final outcome will be announced, and I think after that, everything will move on and go back to normal, I guess. I don't think it has that much of an impact on it, one way or the other.
Leighton, when this story broke, we got, Dr. Emir Crown on the show live talking about how he felt about the case. Atto Bolden had spoken on social media as well. Of course, he's her coach, and they were presenting a confident posture that they thought their athlete was clean, innocent, not seeking to cheat, and they felt reasonably confident that they would, or they could get through this completely unscathed. Is that still the feeling, having studied the issue now for a longer period, and we are now about to face the hearing?
What I will say is that the impression I get is that there's a significant diminishment of that feeling.
Okay.
One, they were hoping for an earlier hearing, which, given the dynamics, which I wasn't even aware of at the time, had an impact on how it's been scheduled now. The independent anti-doping panel had run its course. They have 3-year terms. The Minister of Sport just named a new panel last week.
Yeah, the Kent Gavin panel.
Yeah. So that was not something that wasn't considered before. That now has to be taken into consideration because you just empaneled them last week. That means there was technically nobody to have a hearing prior to that. Therefore, when these people are now seated now, it's about them now familiarizing themselves with the information at hand and then preparing themselves to hear this case. And of course, their availability as well, because you remember each of these people do have their own private, pursuits. So you're looking at a situation where it was about finding the available time for them all to be empaneled and then sit to hear this case. So it was one of the factors that was overlooked, but it's now having a significant bearing on the case itself, because now obviously the most convenient time would be near the end of the month and 3 days before the start of the World Championships.
I'm happy you said that you've covered many of these. Of course, that's partly why we invited you here, because you're the man with the experience. And I'm going to ask a question. I need to be deliberate because I know there are people watching you have many people who get upset at the least of things. So hear me now. I'm not asking you to cast a verdict on the case because the thing hasn't been tried yet. What I'm asking you is, based on what you've seen in similar cases in the past, we all know already what the best case scenario is. Briana is free to continue her career from here unencumbered. Based on your experience, what is the worst case scenario in a case of this nature?
2 years. I think it would be. I don't think it's a 4-year misdo. I mean, when you look at the evidence before you, the fact that they had the pharmacola and flu tested independently, sent in that information to JADCO. They cooperated with the investigation as best as possible. She did declare it. Yes, she didn't present a TUE, which was the only thing I think was missing from this, was that they did not present a TUE with... And
tell my viewers what the TUE is, a therapeutic use exemption. Come on, yes.
Which means basically if you're ailing from something, you get a certificate that says, okay, you are entitled to take this. That if they had done that, we wouldn't be sitting here right now talking about this case.
Yes.
But everything else, it seems to me, except for the fact that due diligence didn't seem to be where it needed to have been, I think they can make a very strong case that this was an inadvertent situation. So somewhere, given that the new sanctions are a lot more severe than previously, I'm thinking the most severe case here would be 2 years. I think 6 months would probably be where it would come down, or maybe 3 months. But we have a tendency in this country to be a little bit harder on our athletes. I think we're trying to prove to the international bodies that we can be as stringent as we want to be, and we're not kowtowing to anybody. So I think severely 2 years, 3 months would probably be a good bit.
And then, just to clarify, Leighton didn't say she was going to be found guilty and given 2 years. I asked him the worst case scenario based on how similar cases have gone in the past. He says, when you apply that against the stringent sanctions that are now on the books, it could be 2 years as a worst case scenario. Be very clear. He didn't say that.
Yeah, because this case is similar to Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price case a few years ago, where she was given oxycodone, a painkiller for a gum situation that she had. And I think trying to remember, it was 6 or 3 months that she got. But it was minimal compared to what you would normally get in a case like. The only provision that I would make here is that this was a diuretic as opposed to being a painkiller or a stimulant.
Yes.
And that is the thing that worries me, because a diuretic, so if they're going to feel like she's guilty, a diuretic is something that's used to cover more serious steroid use, which I doubt, but they could come up with their own conclusions. That's the only thing that worries me, which is one of the reasons why I think that 2-year sanction is probably what it is.
Excellent stuff, Leighton. Thank you very much. The J3s will announce Jamaica's squad for the World Championships on Wednesday. And yeah, Leighton will be back on Wednesday to talk about the selections that Dr. Warren Blake and the selection committee would have made.